There are thousands of initiatives around the world that are working on social change towards a world that is more sustainable, just and resilient. And in the Transit Project we have studied such initiatives. We have studied 20 translocal networks. And these are translocal in the sense that they are globally connected, but they are also locally rooted. And we have analyzed them as international networks, and so how they connect globally, but we have also looked at how they are locally embedded. And we have looked at more than 100 local initiatives across 25 different countries, mostly in Europe and Latin America, but also some other regions. The way that we have looked at these initiatives is from the perspective of transformative social innovation, which is the central concept in the Transit Project. And what we mean by transformative social innovation is that it's about changing social relations, it's about experimenting with new ways of thinking, doing and organizing, but it's also about challenging, altering and replacing the dominant institutions in the social context. And when we say dominant institutions, we don't just mean governments or big business. We're talking really about the dominant ways of doing, thinking and organizing that is ingrained in our society, in our behavior and in our thinking. So this includes, for instance, capitalism or profit maximization, but also individualization, such more cultural aspects. The way in which we have studied these initiatives in the Transit Project is we have interviewed more than 300 people, and we have of course analyzed all sorts of documents, but one of the nice things about the project was that we have not only studied the initiatives, a lot of our researchers have also really become involved in these movements. So we have done participant observation where we have really gone there, we have visited the initiatives, and we have really also become part of the activities and the initiatives. So this has really given us an insight of how these movements work in practice. And then from there, we have developed this theory of transformative social innovation.
Our theory development has been quite an exciting exercise for all of us. There's different theories and they all talk in a different way about social change. So, we tried to bring them all together. We started looking at relational studies, relational theories, transition theories, of course, psychological theories, urban studies. And if we want to understand how transformative change is happening, then it is not enough to stay in our well-known cubicle of transition theories or in our cubicle of relational theories. So what we did to bring all those exciting theories together was actually bringing all our researchers together in one room. By using some innovative methods, we were able to pull from them their insights that they were gaining from their research and that they were having from the studies that they did. So one of these methods, for example, was a free association in which the researchers were challenged to look at a certain play card and then see, what does this card bring to me? What can I tell looking at this card, what I learned from the case study that I did? And by bringing all those case studies together, we really started to develop this theory. So that was the first step in our theory development, and the second step was to come up with certain propositions. And also to think about whether these propositions fit with what we see in the reality of our case studies. So these propositions are both theoretically based, as well as already based in the first batch of case studies that we did. And with these propositions at hand, we developed a critical turning point database. And in this database, we interviewed many social innovation initiatives, and that helped us to see whether this proposition had to be adapted a bit, whether it fitted with what we were actually seeing, or whether we had to think of something totally new. Mm-hmm. And that was also a collective exercise with many researchers involved. The result of this collective exercise is one of the main outcomes of Transit, one of the main insights that we've gained along this 4-year route is that we have developed a theory for transformative social innovation. So what we actually want to do is getting people to reflect onto their own practice, onto the system we are all part of. Because we think that a system cannot be changed or altered or replaced if we continue to think within this system. So we need to think of a way, to find a way to reflect onto the same system. And we hope that our practice briefs can help practitioners, but also policymakers and others in this reflective practice. So one of the questions was, what happens when social innovation initiatives are taken up by larger institutions? Is it a success? Are they actually transforming these dominant institutions? Or are they captured? And then from that position, can they no longer create the much needed societal change? And that's an interesting question, and we reflect on that in one of our practice briefs. One of the things that we've been working on is a critical turning point database. And in this database you can find around 400 critical turning points of around 80 social innovation initiatives. So that means that we've been talking to social innovation initiatives and we've been asking them for the moments of change. When did change occur and how and who was involved? So how was this change actually co-produced? And that's what this critical turning point database is about. It is a public database, it is online and we will keep it online, and everyone is free and welcome to look around and search in this database for their social innovation initiatives, or just to scroll around, browse around and see what's out there and to learn about how change occurs. We have just had our most exciting event of Transit, which was our final conference. And it was our vision to co-produce this final conference with the many people that we've been working with throughout these 4 years. So what we've seen these last 2 days is that people were really interacting with each other. There was no way that one could sit back and scroll on their phone. It was an interactive workshop. Each and every session was asking people to think along, to co-create along. So we've been able to give each and every one of them this opportunity to learn from each other, but also to connect and from drinking a coffee to attending this session. Now that the final conference is over, I think I can really say that I've seen many methodologies, many people creating new bonds together. The vibe was good, the atmosphere was really nice. So I think that our conference, which was titled Learning for Change, Social Innovation, yes, we've been able to say, hey, this is social innovation. Let's put our theory to practice. Let's create these new relations among people. Let's talk about the stories that we are telling each other. And let's also be a bit critical about this whole topic of social innovation.